Hi, Emily. Really good job on the commentary. So first, just a couple. I'm sorry on the case study. A couple of words just clarifying before I get into the commentary proper, which is that you can respond to this either in writing or by video. And with video, I use Screencast-O-Matic, and then I upload it to YouTube. You can use whatever you want. I just need to be able to open it ultimately. Or you can do them in writing, and one option for video is Flipgrid, but of course your classmates will be able to see that if you do Flipgrid. Your case study was really good, which makes it hard to do a commentary, and sometimes that can make it hard to do a response. But I do have some things for you, so I think you'll be able to write a good response or video one. I don't know if I just said this, but if you do video, it's limited to 5 minutes. If you do writing, it's limited to 2 pages, double spaced. So you do have to be pretty concise and really stick to just like diving in and just responding to the commentary. So I thought you made a really good, you gave a really good set of, arguments, counter arguments, responding to those counter arguments. Ironically, though, the thing that I'm actually sort of a little bit unclear as to your ultimate position, and I think some of that might just be that I'm thinking of it myself wrong, because it seemed like you said, when I look at my comments on your paper, it seems like you say that it's wrong to restrict the number of children we have, but you are in favor of limiting the number of children we have. And those words seem like synonyms to me. So I'm assuming that your position is that we ought not to have a limit imposed on us, and we instead should voluntarily limit the number of children we have as a moral responsibility, but not a legal requirement. So the first thing I would do is sort of invite you to just clarify, okay, this is in fact my position. I think we should do blank, but not do blank. And if you're talking about, and it seemed at the end that you talked about like not reducing the number of children we have to 0, but instead just sort of having a manageable number of children. So you might even want to be more specific and say exactly what that is. Now, one thing that I also wanted you to get into is that you talk on page 2 of your case study, you talk about the duty not to cause harm unless absolutely necessary. Originally you said Kantian perspective. I was a little confused. And then you said duty ethics perspective, which is fine. A lot of people use them interchangeably. Kant's a little more specific, but that's fine. I'm wondering, though, if the duty not to cause harm unless absolutely necessary is just too strong. And what I mean by that is, I think a lot of people would say we have a duty to avoid causing, recklessly causing harm. And people do say unnecessary harm, but you kind of have to spell that out a little bit, right? Because if I pollute at all, is that strictly speaking necessary? Maybe, maybe not. So it's an opportunity to get a little nuanced here and talk about, avoidable harm, easily avoidable harm, things like that, minimizing our harms whenever possible, kinds of things like that. Now, I think one thing that you could potentially do as part of a response to my commentary is think about the types of things that we do that could be harmful, and whether having children is, really high on that list, really low on the list, or if that's the wrong way to think about it in general, that whether it's actually shifting the burden of thinking about climate change onto us as individuals and thinking of like, the way to solve climate change is to not have kids, as opposed to be working on much bigger scale solutions, right? So, if any one person doesn't have kids, is that going to do anything? No. If many people do, of course it does, but maybe there's other ways to think about it. So it's just a way of inviting you to sort of go back in, really state clearly your position, and then think a little bit about how you puzzle through the connection between that position and the various ways we think about limiting harm. Two other suggestions. I think there is another argument against limiting children, which is that, if you can have what's called a top-heavy population. If you have too many old people, not enough young people, that can cause a lot of problems. So you could maybe talk about that. And of course, you've got this concern too about, whether asking people to voluntarily give up having children is simply just asking too much of them, because there's something very fundamental to being human bound up with procreation. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's something that you could maybe think about. All right, I look forward to hearing your response to commentary. Again, you can do it by video or in writing.